Turn the microphone on for that thing. Yes, okay. All right, well, let's see how that goes. All right, well, we might start if that's okay with everyone, and I'll just sort of let people in as they trickle in, if they may or may not still. But I just wanted to say welcome everybody to our first program on marketing. I sort of thought that John gave me the opportunity to start this group, and I really wanted to make it a place for us as business owners to, I guess, make some connections, network, collaborate, do whatever it is that's within us as business owners to be able to do. But I wanted to really add some value. And for me, one of the main reasons why I do what I do is to build some really good, strong businesses in our sector, from no matter what it is that you do or what you provide in any which way. And so I'm hoping that this program will do that for us. And this is like our first group. So this is completely free. I'm doing this to sort of see if you find it interesting, if you find it of value, and if you do, I would really like you to shout it from the rooftops in the group, because I'd like to probably present this on a monthly basis for new people to come through. I'm only sort of taking in 25 people at a time so that I can spend some good time with you, and maybe even have some time for you should you have some questions beyond our sessions in between our weeks, to ask and answer questions should you have any. So that's the reason why I'm kind of keeping it nice and small for us to be able to do. But so thank you for giving it a go and for being here today, and I really hope that you get something out of it. I know that I will. And for me, I guess the reason why I think marketing should come from a real place of value is because, finding customers, I think, is probably one of the most common questions that we get asked in any of the groups. Well, how do I find clients? How do I find participants? How do I do any of these sorts of things? And so because this is what I do, I kind of hope that what I can bring to the party for you over the next 4 weeks is to show you that you can actually do it by simply being you, by understanding and getting really, really very clear around who you are and what and who your business is. And most of the time it's an extension of ourselves, our businesses. And if we can understand that and really make it a point of difference and take that out into the world, then we're doing something good for the community, because at the end of the day, we're here to help people that are living life with disabilities and having often some very difficult times of finding good quality services. And with all of you being here today, that tells me you're wanting to put the time in, you're wanting to put the effort in to learn and to do it the right way. And so that is what I'm hoping to show you, is that yes, marketing is a thing, and it's a chore, and it seems to be hard, but it can also be fun, and it can also help you to create a really good, strong network within not just the community, but also other people like you that's around you as well, having the same kind of difficulties and the same kind of issues that we face, day in and day out. So I hope that that's what you guys will get out of it as well. So let's start off by actually understanding where we start. And if any one of you have had an intro session with me or have spoken to me any kind of word, you would have heard me bang on about a business plan and starting there. And so I guess our first sort of question would be, why do you need one? And the reason why a lot of us would need one is because, first of all, you can't get somewhere if you don't know where you're going. So that's what it's designed to do in the first instance, is to really help you understand where you're going. And, not just where are you going, but what are you going to do when you get there? So, and how do you know, when you're there at the end of the day? So what does that look like for you? And it is about really kind of building that picture in your mind. And I even go as far as, with the people that work for me, building them that picture. I build them a blueprint of how things fit together and why they fit together the way that they do. Because when we have that picture, we get to understand that if we don't do one piece of it, what happens, at the other end, if that's the case. So, that's why that is sort of important, to know where you're going and what will you do when you get there. You also need to understand what your sector is doing, what your competitors are doing, what your participants are doing, what the NDIS is doing. All of those sorts of things is important when we are building our business. And so a business plan helps us do that. Now, our next session, in fact, is our business planning session. So we will actually have a go at going through one and really getting to the nitty-gritty of how do we build a business plan. But firstly, do you have a plan for what happens when things don't go so well? Helps us kind of understand that as well. What do you do in the case of an emergency? If you've got a parachute, where is it? You've got to know where that is too. They tell us on a plane every time. First time you get on there, your parachute or your floaty or whatever it is down the bottom of your seat. We need to know where to find things if stuff goes astray. And the other thing is how can you ensure best practice? That's the thing that you have to build into your business plan, is how can you ensure that you are providing the best possible care, the best possible business for people that are trusting you with what they're doing. And then, of course, how are you going to enjoy your journey? Because really, if we can't build a business that we are in to enjoy ourselves and that we enjoy doing what we're doing, we're not going to keep doing it. So if we don't enjoy what we're doing, we'll be giving up the ghost at the first sign of trouble and we'll be out of here. That's not really worth putting in money, time and effort into starting if you can't find any joy out of what you want to build and what you want to do. So business plan, first cab off the rank, that's what we should be doing even before we start marketing, because we don't know how to market something if we don't know what it is. So John's laughing. He's probably heard me say this a million times before, but it's very, very, very true. So we start with the big picture when we're doing that. And what is the first thing that we do when we are starting with a big picture is that we are going to formulate our vision. Okay, so what does your ideal future look like? Okay, if you've spoken to me before and I've basically talked to you about our strategy session, I kind of work it like an ABCD thing. The A space is where are we today, and then we go straight to the D space, which is our dream space, and we actually build what that future, what that dream looks like for us, right? Oh, here comes Tracy. I'll just let Tracy in. Welcome, Tracy. So once we know what our dream space is, so that's formulating our vision, right? So we want to ask ourselves, where am I going? What am I going to do when I get there? What does your business and what does your life look like when you've done that? So that is one of the first things that we want to do. Our second is to identify our mission, okay? So what makes you do the things you do at the end of the day? So that's your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? If you've spoken to me before, you know that my why is the fact that I've got 2 family members that I've got in care. Just let Alicia in. Welcome, Alicia. My why is that I've got 2 family members that are in care. I've got a mother with an acquired brain injury that's got a lot of deficits, and I've got a daughter with Down syndrome. And in trying to find care and building a team around me to be able to allow my world to work and my family to work and my world to go around, I went through hell to try and put that together. It was a really, really difficult thing. So my why is the fact that business by business and now group by group, I want to build a stronger sector. I want to build businesses that truly understand and know how to make yourself visible and how to really communicate to people the expertise that you can bring to the sector. And we want strong businesses. We want profitable businesses. Why do we want profitable businesses? Because if we don't have a profitable business, we cannot give quality service. That's the bottom line of it. Money and being profitable is not a dirty word in the healthcare sector. If you are not a profitable and a good business, you can't provide quality. That's the bottom line of it at the end of the day. So we build our mission. Why do we do what we do? What is our purpose? What is going to do it? And, you know, for me, it's about making other people's lives better at the end of the day through people like you. People like you guys that go out there and face to face with clients and making their world go around and giving them desperately needed services. That's my contribution. I'm not a personal care worker. I'm not a nurse. I'm not any of those things. Yes, I do that for my mum, and I've had to learn how to do that. But you guys are the ones that are doing it out there for the community, and I feel like I get to make other people's lives better, easier, more enjoyable through hopefully helping you build better businesses, stronger businesses. That's my why. So ask yourself, what's yours? Lastly, we want to determine our values, right? So why? Because somehow we have to have a direction in this world. Somehow we have to know how we're going to behave along the way and what we are willing to take and what we are not willing to take, what sort of behaviours we're willing to be able to tolerate and what we're not able to. And I'm not talking about a participant that's got behavioural issues. It's a completely different thing. I'm talking about what sort of quality of care will you provide? How good a business are you willing to set up? Are you willing to do best practice and putting the work in that it takes to be able to provide best practice? And do you understand what that is? So what guides you every single day in your business decisions? To me, I say to my clients, a value is a very, very important thing. If you get put with the choice in the morning of having to run out the door without getting dressed or without brushing your teeth, which one's the one you're going to do? I know for me, I'd rather put my toothbrush in my handbag and some toothpaste and run out the door, but I ain't running out the door butt naked. I'm telling you that right now. So that's a value. That's something that you won't compromise on unless you're very happy to share your very lovely physique out there for the masses. I'm not so. I'm a mother of a couple of children and things have gone south for me somewhat. So I won't be putting the world to that test. But so that's a value that's uncompromisable for me. And that's how your values in business should also be. And so it's not just a thing of, oh, let's pick some really nice words like some integrity and some passion and some, which everybody has. And, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing to have, not at all. It's just that if it's unwavering, it's a real value. And that's what you want to set. In my world, anyway. So let's get started with the marketing part of it. So, the first thing in marketing is what I'm saying to every single person that comes to me is keep it simple. it absolutely needs to be simple because we are small businesses and we want to be able to be consistent and repeat what it is that we are doing in our marketing plan. So there is no point in having a marketing plan that is 35 pages long and we can't execute it. You may as well be, I almost said a bad word, but you may as well not do it at all if that's where it's going to go. It is about absolutely creating consistency in what you're doing. And if you are only picking 2 or 3 things to do, then great. Pick those 2 or 3 things, but do them consistently, because that's when you will actually get momentum when you do that. I'm just wondering if I could ask people to put themselves on mute if you don't mind. That way we will not have as much. Yeah, yeah, thank you so much. This is my first time of using it. If I have to go into other screens to try and mute somebody, I don't know if I'll come back. So thank you so much. So it has to be short, it has to be simple, and it has to be repeatable. So the way that we do that is to recall our mission statement that we are building within our business plan. And the reason that we recall our mission statement is because we want to be able to know what we want to achieve. So knowing where we are going and what we want to achieve is really important if we're going to be picking only a small number of things to be able to do with consistency. Okay. Another thing is that you want to do your SWOT. What is a SWOT? What's your SWOT analysis? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? So I've given it, thank you, Jackie. Those sorts of things may seem not very important, but it's extremely important to really, truly understand what they are so that you're not surprised by too many things. And you are going to be surprised in business sometimes because things happen, things that we don't foresee, things that we don't necessarily know to expect. And so if we have our basis of knowing what our strengths are, then we can know how we can overcome something that surprised us. If we know what our weakness is, then we also know potentially what we need to do to overcome that weakness, or where to go, who to ask, all of those sorts of things, right? Be smart. So set some SMART goals, okay? When we talk about SMART goals, we're talking about something that is, let me just let Candace in again. Specific goals that are measurable, achievable, realistic, and timed. So there's no point in putting a goal that's pie in the sky. If you've worked with me before, you know I don't do pie in the sky. But if you cannot set a goal that has got specificity, that is measurable, that you know you can achieve, that is realistic to achieve and has a time frame in it, then don't bother. Rather set yourself 1 or 2 that are, and again, make that repeatable. Be strategic in what you're doing, because that is how you know what is going to work and what's not going to work. So, you can set yourself a to-do list and you'll be able to see what the outcomes are. So once again, your mission becomes extremely important to know where you're going, so that you actually have an understanding of how you need to go and what the strategy is to be able to get there. Again, can I please ask somebody to just put themselves on mute? Thanks so much. And so the last bit that I want to touch on here is that we need to be nimble, because we need to be able to always know that things are going to surprise us and that we are going to have to maybe change the game a little bit. We may have to set some different goals. We may have to do a different turn of events. We might have to, whatever it might be. But if we can't be nimble and we're not willing to change our minds, to work around whatever kind of problem has come and hit us in the face unsuspectingly, then we just don't there's no point in being rigid either. We need to be able to be flexible so that we can meet a sector that's still ever changing as we speak. It's changing. So, these kinds of things are really, really important. So that is the first way of getting started in our marketing strategy, is to really understand what these things are. If we've got some questions, I would please ask you to write them down for me, because I am going to give you an opportunity to ask them at the end of our session. So, and if there is something that is a real burning question around what I'm talking about, there's some place in here you can put your hand up to let me know you've got a question, and I'll be more than happy for you to interrupt and ask a question that is, key to what we're talking about now. So what do you do, and what do you do it for? So this is where we start to actually understand and define what your service offering is. Okay, understanding what services you're offering allows you to really build a mind map and think outside the square a little bit if you need to. I know that this is a sector that is ever changing, but if we know what we're doing, we can accurately communicate what we are doing and why we are doing it to our sector. And we will talk about communication a little bit later on in the piece as well. So define your service offering is one of the first sorts of things that I would implore you to do. When we do that, we are also going to define who our target audience is. And I'm not talking about, saying my audience is NDIS participants. We can get way more granular than that. Every participant is not our client, okay? Every participant does not suit us. We all have very specific pieces of expertise, knowledge, training that we bring to the sector, and it is important that we stay in our lane. We cannot be a jack of all trades to everybody. Yes, we could probably offer a good 3 or 4, maybe 5 solid services, right? We could potentially employ somebody that's got a specific piece of expertise to be able to do those sorts of things. There's ways and means around it, but everybody is not our client, and so we have to identify who our target audience is. When we have identified those two things, we can really start to define our messaging and get really very clear on how we can communicate ourselves, our businesses, and our value to our specific audience, which is our ideal client at the end of the day. And that is what a marketing system is designed to be, is to actually build you a really good, solid platform of attraction for your ideal client. And when we do that, hopefully we get the joy out of our business, because we will be working with the types of clients that we really enjoy working with. And it's just the gift that keeps on giving over and over and over again. So then we get to a number 4 bit, which is always about how they call it a unique service proposition within the marketing speak of things. But what makes you different? What makes you unique? And that doesn't mean, that I'm unique because I like to have multicolored hair, or, I like to wear funny glasses to be seen. Not those sorts of things. It's just about what's your life experience has been, what's your what sort of wars have you been through in the world that couples you with what you do professionally that can really make you stand out from your competitors out there, because there are a lot of large competitors that we're all potentially competing with, and we're all competing with each other in one way, shape or form, but yet again, everybody's not our client. So if we can get really clear around what makes you different and what makes you special, then that makes you and helps you connect with your ideal client who sees the same possibility in working with you and your business and potentially the staff that you employ, because you will obviously be employing staff with the same values and with the same outlook on life, and that will bring a different expertise potentially to your business to add a new string to your bow. But, you know, those sorts of things, you know, becomes a way of how you can define what you do best at the end of the day. And if you can define what you do best, then you can define who you're going to do it for, because those kinds of things go hand in hand. If you Google those terms, you know, you will actually be able to see, and when I say Google those terms, Google the terms that of what it is that you do best and who it is that you're doing it for. Go and have a look, and then you will find your competitors. You will find the people that are doing the same thing in the same space near you. Then you can really kind of have a look and see, okay, so what do they provide? How do they communicate themselves? You know, are they setting themselves apart, or are they being generic and how they're communicating their businesses? You will learn a lot of things just by doing a little bit of homework in that space, and, you know, by seeing what's potentially missing in their communications or in their branding or in their platform of attraction can also help you set yourself aside and apart from that to help you to be different and to be a little bit more unique than the person next to you. So a part of why we want to be unique is because, you know, we really want to be able to help people understand why work with you. Why you? Why not the person next door? Why not the service provider that's been around for many, many years and have done this for a long time and obviously have earned their stripes in the sector? You know, so why should they even care about you at the end of the day and what it is about you saying? Because you should be caring about what your ideal client cares about. Okay, and when you do and you can communicate that, then you can actually really find a really good balance between what you get as referral sources or as potential clients versus what you want in a client. And those things are all part of a bigger circle that, as your business grows, becomes more and more important as you go along. So what does your client care about? You know, it could be reliability, it could be responsiveness, it could be client-centered care, it could be price. Are you worth what you're charging at the end of the day? These are all questions that people are asking themselves when they are looking for a service provider. And then the very, very last end of it is by what they're seeing and reading and learning about you. From that, can they get to know, like, and trust you? Because let's face it, all of us choose to work with people that we like, okay, that we can trust. We don't necessarily have to know them all that well to be able to like and trust them based around a couple of interactions. But hopefully we do get to be liked, because hopefully we do get that opportunity to be face to face with them, to have that meet and greet with them, to give the opportunity to really get them to understand your true why you at the end of the day. So you see that making yourself unique, or finding yourself or your own unique selling proposition or your own service proposition, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be out of the box, strange, weird, do something that others are not doing. It's simply about being able to uniquely make that connection with your ideal client at the end of the day and really bringing some value to them at the same time. So now we come to the communication part. We've come this far. So I like this quote that I sort of saw to say, we put it simply, audience doesn't understand the message you're trying to convey, you'll lose them at hello. And that's something that you simply can't afford to do. We can't. Why can't we? Because we're a small sector. And most of us only work in a small area, right? We can't be global businesses. We can't, spread our wings all of that far. And again, so how we communicate ourselves and how we're able to connect with our ideal client becomes extremely important. And that's why communication is just so key. And how do we do that? How do we communicate clearly? Is by trying to speak the client's language. Don't do jargon. Okay, people don't particularly enjoy jargon. They want you to be relatable. They want to be able to relate to you. They want to be able to find themselves, like that's where they belong, in how you communicate your business and what you're actually able to convey you can do for them and what value you can add at the end of the day. Don't assume that it's obvious either. Okay, just because we say that we do person-centered care, how are you doing that? How can you prove that you're doing it? So there's more to it than that. Don't just think simple and assume that just because we're telling people that we're doing person-centered care that they believe you. A lot of people have been burned by bad service providers out there. A lot of people have been let down by people not showing up, by people not keeping their promises, by promising the world and they're not delivering. So this is the baggage that we seem to deal with and have to pick up if we want to get a bit of market share in an area. And so don't assume at all that they totally just will take you at your word just because you've put it on a website or you've put it on social media. So number 6, your features and benefits. And do you know the difference at the end of the day? Because sometimes people get a feature and a benefit the wrong way around, I find. So basically a feature is everything that your service offers. That is a feature, is your services. That is what you do. A benefit is essentially what they get out of it. Okay, so make a list of features and benefits within your business so that you actually understand the value that you are adding to your client. When you can understand the value that you are adding to your client, then you can actually have a client that could easily know, like, and trust you, but you can also communicate yourself more clearly, more succinctly, and more to the point, a little bit more understanding to them so that it's on the same level as what they're looking for. They can find themselves in how you're communicating your business. So my most favorite thing in the world is tracking and reporting. Why is that important? Because every action should have an outcome. Everything we do should be of benefit to us, should make our time worthwhile, and should be getting us somewhere. Otherwise, we are actually not moving along in our business plan. We're not getting anywhere. The whole point of having a business plan and a marketing plan is to get somewhere, right? Which is a successful business. So there's really no failures. Yes, not every activity that you are going to do is going to necessarily be a successful one. So failure isn't necessarily a failure. That is a learning opportunity. It's like, okay, that's not working. I need to try something else and see how that goes. We learn from every single thing we do. We learn from what we're doing well, and then we can do more of that. And what we don't do so well, we do less of. So when we know what is working and what is not working through tracking and reporting every single activity that we are doing, then we need to know that we don't need to measure absolutely everything. Okay, we only need to measure what is important. So there may only be 2 or 3 things that you pick that's important to you. That you work out in your business plan as to where you want to get through, like what is important to you. But measure as little as possible, because once again, our time is finite. We only have so much time in the day. We only have so much time in the week. We only have so much time in the month to be able to do some things. And if we can't set aside to do these things and really get the value out of the time that we spend on these activities, then, you know, it doesn't help that we have got 20 measurable things and 19 of them mean nothing to us because it doesn't convert a participant from an inquiry to actually signing a service agreement. So document what you're going to measure and get into a routine of doing it. In the first instance, you might want to do it weekly if we're starting, so that you can get a really good understanding and feel for that activity and what's working and what's not working. Once we get to a point of really understanding that what's working more, and now we're really getting to the pointy end of, okay, now we need to tweak that so we can make it better, then we can probably back off on the timing a little bit. But it is really important that with whatever it is that we're doing, that consistency is key, because if we are not consistent, we're getting these ones, these kind of graphs, that because this week we can afford to spend a little bit of time on network building, and now we can spend a little bit of time on content creation, and now we can spend a little bit of time on maybe some website content, or you know, having some meet and greets or those sorts of things. So we're going to have these kinds of graphs. So one week we're going to be extremely busy and then we can't do anything else. It's not going to work. So if you can really set your time and pick your activities, you're going to slowly over time start seeing that curve do that, which is what you want to do, because a curve like that is a curve of success at the end of the day. So you don't have to be measuring the world. You don't have to have the hugest marketing plan to be able to get there. None of those things. Pick your battles. You pick your small things. Those are the things that you get really clear and consistent on. When you get really good at that, we can build more on that at that stage. But now it's time to take action. So you're going to write your plan in whatever form it is. I'm going to lay it all out for you so that you can clearly understand and be consistent with what you're going to do. We've talked about that we're going to set SMART goals to be able to do that. And we now know what a SMART goal is if you didn't. We will be spending a bit more time in our future sessions on some of these things as well, especially when we're going to build our business plan next week. Should you, oh, sorry, I've just gone back to that. We're still SMART. So we will be working on some SMART goals next week when we're building our business plan. So we'll learn a little bit more about that. Share your plan. Share your plan with somebody. If you've got a business coach, share it with your business coach. If you've got somebody that you're collaborating with in business, share it with them. Share it with your mum, share it with your husband, share it with your daughter, share it with somebody who will listen. That will be a sounding board for you to help you think a little bit, because we don't know everything. And sometimes, you know, when we are in something, we don't necessarily have the clarity of looking from the outside in, especially if we've been working at this for a while. Okay, our thinking can get stale. So share your plan with somebody so that you can get a little bit of feedback and hopefully grow on that. But just start. Start with the first step. Okay, so all you have to do is, when you do that, just start somewhere, anywhere. It doesn't matter where it is, and measure your progress along the way so that you know how you're going and what's working, what's not working, what you have to tweak, all of those sorts of little bits. Measure the outcomes as well. Don't just measure the activity, measure the outcomes of that activity. And by that, it could be, let's say, for instance, we've brought a new participant on board and they've come on board because they needed personal support. So we're going to be offering personal support to a client for a while. But over time, you know, now that we've converted that participant and they're a client of ours, we could grow that relationship, and you might be bringing some other things to the party for them. So you might be helping them with their social support as well as their community access, maybe even their transport. You could add other areas that you could work with and on with them So measure the outcomes of what you're doing. Don't just stop at when a participant has signed a service agreement. No worries, Sarah. Off you go. Thanks for joining. You know, those kinds of things means that we can actually do more with what we've got and grow our business over time. And then, of course, repeat, repeat, repeat. Okay, again, that consistency thing. Just keep doing it. Just keep swimming. Okay, it is that consistency and repetitiveness around the actions and the activities that you are doing that is going to get you that curve of getting somewhere. If we ebb and flow, stop and start, we're seeing these ones. We're going to be starting projects and never seeing the end of them, never finishing them, never getting the outcome that we had hoped and dreamed for. So don't set a plan that's massive. Start small and grow on it. If there's anything that you take away from today, I hope that it's that. Okay, so that's it really for our first session. I kind of wanted to keep it a bit light and a little bit more from a high level to understand what marketing truly is and how you can get started today doing something in your business. I would love to hear from anyone if you've got any questions now. Wow, I've either been really boring or I've stumped you all. Yes, go for it.
When you say like just stop and start, do you think that one of the reasons that some people struggle in their business is because they hit a lull? Because we know that business is peaks and troughs, right? So ups and downs, and they hit a bump in the road or a lull. So a client like, do you have a piece of advice or direction for people that hit that and they go, this is all too hard, you know, I was doing really well and now I'm not?
Absolutely.
How normal is that in business?
It's very, very normal in business. It's especially common in smaller businesses. Why? Because we don't build a business plan. We think because we're small, we may even just be solo, right? Our own sole trader, that we don't need to spend time on building a business plan. When we don't build a business plan, we are not planning for the future. And that's where I was talking about when we hit the bumps in the road and doing our SWOT analysis to understand what our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are. When that bump in the road hits, we don't know what to do. And so we stop everything because it feels a bit hard. But when we've put the time and effort into the planning and we actually understand, because we've built a plan and a strategy around when we've hit that bump in the road, what do we do? Where do we go? Where are our strengths? What do I need to tap into to get around this problem? Then we don't have that ebb and flow. Then we have more ability to be able to push through and get through that problem. So it's extremely common because we just very rarely build a plan that is, it doesn't have to be a big plan, but it does have to be a smart plan. You do have to think about truly, it's not just about filling in boxes. A lot of people go and they'll get a template for a business plan, and then they just answer the questions within them. If you truly haven't done the thinking around, what happens? I've got 8 clients. What happens if 4 of them in 3 months turn to become NDIS managed clients and I can no longer look after them? So more than 50% of my business have now dropped off. If I haven't thought of what I would be doing if that happened, if I didn't put a plan in place to keep putting referrals and new business into the funnel, I get nothing coming out of the bottom. Everything stops. So yes, the way to stop those ebbs and flows and the way to prevent them being so high and so low is to have a plan. Things will surprise you. Things will stump you, and sometimes will come, with you not knowing that it's actually coming. But when you have that plan there, you can tap into actually overcoming that. And that is also building a network of other people around you that you can tap into to go, the shit's hit the fan. What do I do? This has happened. So planning, sharing that plan, having somebody to tap into, knowing what your strengths are, it's all in the planning. If we have that plan, we've put the time and the effort into making it smart, making it fit us so that we can understand and put it into place, it will help. Did that answer your question?
Thank you. Perfect. And Kath's got a question. She'd like to have an overview of what will happen over the next 3 weeks. And are you planning to teach businesses to start all the way up to success?
In this program or in general? In my business, that's what I do all the way up. In this program, if you go into the event, Kath, the sessions are actually laid out within the event. So for the next 4 weeks, we're covering different things every week, and we are pretty much talking about I need to accept Candace again. She's having issues with her connection, obviously. We are going to be talking about business planning, putting things in place, networking. So yes, really we are having a really good overview from start to finish in this program. Obviously, in an hour, we can't go very deep. So I'm trying to be as valuable to you as I can in an hour with the time that we have. I will set, for instance, next week we're going to be talking about business plans, more about why they're so important. So Jackie, more to your question now, we're going to be doing one so that I can help you how to think through doing your own business plan if you wanted to do it in that way. But yes, it's all set out in that event, and I hope that that gives you enough of an understanding of what you can expect in the next 3 sessions to come. Anybody else? We've got Anne. Yes, Anne, thank you. I'll unmute you if I can.
I think I pressed the wrong button.
Yes, what's your question? Oh, you don't. You've just pressed the wrong button. Oh, no problems. No, okay. Tracy, where do I find the event section? In the group. So in the group that you have found this link in, the event is pinned under event, so you should be able to go in there and find it. Will this be specific to support coordination or general business planning? General business planning, so it should fit anybody in any business. And you will obviously be putting your own thinking and your own business and your own services to the thinking of what business it is that you're building. Okay, Unique? Unique might be able to tell us something about being unique. Is that a bad joke? Tracy, you missed a little bit, but I have recorded the session. So once I figured out how to get a link to you all, I will email it for those of you that want to look back, okay? Unique, I won't be running a program specifically for support coordination. I can have a chat to you offline, depending on what your needs are as to where I could potentially refer you to. No worries. Okay. Nobody else? All silent? Thank you. Yeah, look, I've tried to give people a really, really high level view of what it actually is to really market your business. We are over the next 3 weeks going to get more granular in the things that we are going to learn. So I really do hope that you come along. And can I please ask you guys that if you have enjoyed our session today and you feel like this could add some value to you over the next 3 weeks, please share it in the group, because I would like to make it a bit more of a rolling thing to be able to add some more value to people in our groups month on, month in, month out, you know, all of those sorts of things. So that would be much appreciated, to be able to do that. If you would do so, thanking you very much. Good. Now, John, I am aware that you wanted to present a little bit of an initiative to our group over the next little bit. Do you feel ready to be able to share that, or shall we put something together that we can put in the next session and just give people a really high level overview?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just generally share the brief of what we're trying to achieve.
Mm.
As you notice, I'm the guy behind the name that's giving you a cell change along the groups. So I run about 5 or 6 groups, and I pretty much live day in, day out. My background is a computer science accountant programmer. I'm now a participant as well as a provider as well. So a lot of this stuff is just going to us. I just wanted to jump in all the time and talk and help us all back. Marketing wasn't a part of the community. That's what I changed. I'm here in these all New South Wales, and I don't know if you know what it's like up here. It's made 3 months after the floods, people are still suffering. That's the release of a campaign doing support here. Sophia Watt is on the project is something to do something. She's also a yes, and she was our track mother on the US as well. She's talking about how it's been very get some money to help with petrol and other things that she's not getting funding to get out to the water community. So I'm going to start looking at your brand. They know how many us brand ourselves. Someone's trying to I'd like to bring that some crowd into the group. And I really enjoy brand. Enjoy the equation.
Well, I think that there are probably a lot of people that are still suffering from the floods, John, and you know, whatever it is, if it's a message that we share, if it's something that we kind of bring into our businesses to kind of help share the message, share the GoFundMe page around potentially, whatever it might be, I think that we can probably sit and create a bit of a plan of how we might communicate and share that around all of the groups. And
Absolutely. So,
mm.
one of the things that I've been in business for 25 years. So I've got some experience. Part of being in business is being part of the community and being seen to be part of it. To be able to say, right, so this is a real opportunity to engage in sort of behavior. Sharing the love will create its own energy and have its own feedback.
Absolutely.
It will feed you well in the longer term. The mindset and the exposure.
Well, we're working with the community, and so therefore we should try and probably support it as best that we can.
And we should contribute to the wider community. Some trades we're participants. We also see that the wider community has needs and wants as well. It's not just us and income. We see that others income. And by natural communicating, you can create a meaningful platform.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good initiative. Thank you, John. A really great initiative, and you know, maybe we can put all of our collective brains together in the course over the next few weeks in the sessions to see how we could potentially help do that. Beautiful. Well, I can't thank everybody enough for being here today. Our first session. I'm very happy with the turnout, that everyone showed up. In the first instance is great. I didn't talk to myself. That was a good start, I thought. So thank you so much. Again, any kind of feedback, any questions that you have from today's session, feel free. Ask them in the group, ask them to me, wherever you like. Let's get communicating, let's get networking. We're all going to get to know each other a little bit over the next few weeks. So hopefully you guys can all build some good networks and collaborations together. And thank you again for showing up today.
Thank you for this day.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. Thanks so much. You all have a great day.
You too. See you.
See you.